so check this out, guys. Everybody thinks that they know Dallas, Texas. They'll tell you about the brisket, the big hats, and the skyline glowing green at night, right? But let me tell you guys something. A whole bunch of the things that used to define life around here is just not that accurate anymore, right? I'm talking about places that were once local legends and they're all gone. Traditions around here that everybody grew up with, they're flipped upside down. Like, I've got clients who moved down here 5 years ago, and even they're looking around like, wait, what happened to my Dallas? And listen, I'm not just talking about the new high-rises or the fancy restaurants. I'm talking about the deep stuff that made Dallas feel like Dallas, guys. From the late-night tacos to the legendary neighborhoods, things have changed so fast that it'll make your cowboy hat spin. So today I'm gonna dial you in on 20 things about living in Dallas that just aren't true anymore. And some of these may just blow your mind, especially if you're planning to move here in the future. And it may even surprise you if you lived here forever and you've just been out of touch with the city for a little while. And trust me, this isn't gonna be your typical top 10 Dallas list, guys. We're going in deep this time. So I want you to grab your tacos because we're about to dial in right now. Now listen, y'all, I gotta tell you that living in Dallas has been one wild ride these past few years. It's like the city woke up one day and said, cool, let's just reinvent everything. And honestly, part of me loves it and part of me is like, hold on, where's the Dallas that I once knew? I've had clients call me mid-move saying stuff like, Marquez, we're looking for that classic Dallas vibe, right? And I'm over here trying to break it down gently that, you know, some of this stuff has definitely changed since you first started looking, or at least they're just not gonna be as you remember it. But that's the thing about this city, right? It never sits still. And if you wanna live here, guys, you gotta know what's real and what used to be real. So buckle up because we're about to dive into 20 ways Dallas has flipped the script on us, and I'm starting with something that's really close to my heart, and honestly, it's a little painful for anybody who's ever found themselves hungry at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, so we're just gonna rip the band-aid off with this one. It's the biggest heartbreaks of every Dallas night owl, right? The death to the late night taco. Now look, there was a time when it didn't matter if it was 11 p.m. or 3 a.m. You knew where to go, right? Fuel City was a rite of passage. Velvet Taco is a straight up legend, and you'd be standing in line half asleep, shoulder to shoulder with folks in club outfits, rodeo gear, and even a random guy in a 3-piece suit, all united by one thing: tacos, baby. But now a lot of these spots have cut their hours, some closed completely, and it's like Dallas decided, like, cool, let's just swap the late night tacos for brunch mimosas and DoorDash, right? Don't get me wrong, delivery apps are nice, but they just don't hit the same as standing outside your car at 2 a.m. with taco grease running down your wrist. It's just one of those little pieces of Dallas culture that's, well, just not true anymore, guys. It really feels like that late night taco era was yesterday, but Dallas, it changes quick, right? Like this next spot, I remember stepping over cracked sidewalks, neon lights buzzing, and music spilling out every single door. Now it's almost unrecognizable, guys. And that's why I say Deep Ellum is having an identity crisis. Look, if it was around 10 years ago, you knew exactly what I'm talking about, right? This was the heart of Dallas creativity, grimy in the best way. Listen, you'd walk past street art taller than your house, smell barbecue rolling out of Pecan Lodge, and catch a band you've never heard of somehow become your next new obsession. But today, guys, it's a whole different vibe over there, right? High rises are shooting up, boutique hotels are moving in, and there's security guards on every single corner. Some folks love the upgrades, more polished, you know, safer, more family friendly. Others, they'll tell you that Deep Ellum sold its soul for condos and craft cocktails. One of my clients from California moved here thinking Deep Ellum was still that raw, artsy scene they saw on Instagram. You know, her first night out, she texted me, Marquez, did I just walk into Scottsdale with murals? And honestly, she wasn't wrong, right? It's wild how one neighborhood can flip that fast. And it's not just the city streets, guys. Even our favorite outdoor escapes aren't safe from change. But hey, real quick, if you're thinking about making that move to Dallas or just keeping up with how fast this city's changing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. My name is Mark, and my team and I, we help people buy, sell, and relocate right here to the Dallas Metroplex. Guys, we love all things about the DFW and help you make that move that's going to be best for you and your family. So if you're thinking about making a move, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info's down in the description below and pinned to the top of the chat. And that just moves us right into the next one, White Rock Lake, man. This used to be the spot where locals went to disappear for a minute, right? No tourists, no crowds, just you, your bike, maybe a few turtles sunbathing on the lawn, and maybe some old guy feeding the ducks over in the corner. Pure bliss. And now you can just forget about it, guys. Ever since the pandemic, everybody and their grandma discovered the lake. Saturday mornings feel like a rush hour on the trails. Parking lots are stuffed tighter than a state fair frying pan, and you've got joggers, strollers, cyclists, and dogs all weaving around like it's a video game. Sure, the city's making upgrades, adding new overlooks and fancy landscaping, but a lot of locals are like, where did my quiet spot go? And once you start noticing how our favorite spots are jam-packed or changing, you can't help but see it everywhere now, even on our dinner plates. So say goodbye to Dallas steakhouses, places, and hello to Michelin madness. Listen, Dallas used to be built practically on steak, right? Bob's, Nick and Sam's, Albernays, those are the sacred spots around here. Giant shrimp cocktails, sizzling ribeyes the size of a hubcap, power lunches with oil tycoons and real estate moguls, right? That was the Dallas way. But now the Michelin guy rolled into town like Beyonce on a tour, and suddenly everybody's chasing these different experiences, these multi-course tasting menus, the fusion spots, where you can't even really pronounce half of the ingredients, right? Places like Lucia, Shoyo, Monarch, those are the new flex here in Dallas, and it's getting kind of overwhelming. Now look, don't get me wrong, I love a good fancy dinner, but even some lifelong locals tell me they miss the days when a steak and baked potato was the height of Dallas luxury. And look, speaking of local places that used to be local secrets but now are packed wall to wall, wait till you hear about what's going on over in the Bishop Arch district. The Bishop Arch used to feel like your cool friend's living room, right? Tiny indie shops, quirky art galleries, restaurants are run by folks who actually cook in the back and then come out and serve you in the front. It's where you go for a quiet date night or just a lazy Sunday stroll, right? Now it's a full-blown influencer magnet, right? Tripods on every corner, folks filming TikToks about hidden gems that, spoiler alert, are not hidden anymore. Rents have shot through the roof and some longtime local businesses have had to pack up and leave from over in this area. You know, one of my clients moved here and was dying to check out Bishop Arch because they'd seen it all over Instagram. And when they finally went, they texted me like, Marquez, it feels like Disneyland for brunch people. And honestly, it kind of does these days when you're out there. I mean, it's still super nice, lovable, it's walkable, and it still has that indie type vibe, but you can definitely tell the change. And we're just not seeing this in the cute district, right? It's happening in the old gritty neighborhoods as well. So in this next one, guys, it used to be the old warehouses with the exposed brick, and now it's straight tech towers. And I'm talking about the Cedars, right? You know, back in the day, the Cedars was all grit and creativity, right? Industrial lofts, artist studios, low-key music venues, right? You drive through and see murals, old brick buildings, and folks hauling in stage equipment for that show tonight. Now, the new Park Smart District is moving in and the Cedars is morphing into a high-tech wonderland. Listen, you're gonna see the sleek glass towers, the co-working spaces, and the digital art displays replacing gritty graffiti, right? It's got that big Silicon Prairie type of energy. And truthfully, it's actually pretty impressive when you look at it, right? But honestly, some of the locals just feel like the neighborhood's losing that raw, artsy edge that made it special in the first place. I mean, change is everywhere out here in Dallas, guys. But really quick, I wanna pause and I wanna hear from you guys. Look, drop me a comment and tell me what's your favorite Dallas neighborhood that still feels like your vibe. Or maybe one that you missed the old version of, right? Let's get some chatter going and tell the people who are watching what it's like to be in the DFW. So anyway, there's gonna be one place every Dallas kid remembers from childhood that's getting completely overshadowed by the northern burbs, right? And I'm talking about Six Flags, right? In its heyday, Six Flags over Texas in Arlington was the spot for every school field trip, summer birthday party, your church youth group, hot asphalt, Batman coaster, funnel cakes, and praying that your friend's mom gave you enough money for a souvenir cup refill. But now Frisco's coming in so hot with the new Universal Studios, right? It's gonna be a brand new park, smaller scale rides, more immersive experiences, and shiny new everything, right? Listen, parents tell me it's way easier than dragging the kids through the chaos of Six Flags, and honestly, Frisco's feeling like Disney North these days. And it's not just Universal, right? The Fields development up there is pulling families in with shopping, sports, and the entertainment on a scale that would have sounded wild even 5 years ago. Listen, Six Flags will always be nostalgia, but Frisco's giving families a shiny new option, right? And there's no question a few big Dallas traditions feel a little bit different these days. So wait until you hear about how the State Fair is evolving. So heading over to Fair Park, where the State Fair of Texas used to be practically religion around here, right? Big Texas slow motion wave, corny dogs coming out hot, that sweet smell of fried everything. You'd spend the whole day there running to your cousin, your neighbor, and probably your ex because everybody wants to be out there, right? But lately, locals are feeling like the State Fair is turning into more of a tourist attraction. Look, ticket prices keep going up. It's not as common to hang out there all day unless you're visiting from out of town. Listen, the city's pouring money into the renovation of Fair Park. They're planning more concerts, art events, and year-round stuff, which is really cool, right? But some folks miss when the fair felt like pure Texas culture, not just another big Dallas event. You know, one of my clients who grew up in Pleasant Grove told me, man, the State Fair used to feel like your own little backyard, right? Now it feels like you need a VIP pass just to afford a turkey leg. And honestly, he ain't wrong, right? Even the prices in neighborhoods around Dallas are enough to make you look twice these days. Now moving to this next subject, guys, for the longest time, folks would say, man, I can't afford to live in downtown Dallas. I'll just move to Plano, Frisco, or McKinney. And back then, that was the move, right? Bigger houses, good schools, and you still had change left for a Costco run. But now, a lot of these suburbs are flexing price tags that'll make your wallet crack. It's not unusual to see Frisco or McKinney homes going for prices that used to be strictly for Park City's territory. And folks who thought they'd be living 10 minutes north are now house hunting in Anna, Melissa, even Sherman, way up on the north side. You know, one couple I worked with this year, they started looking at Frisco, and by the time we were writing offers, we were exploring Salina because the prices kept climbing faster than we could keep up. Listen, the old drive till you qualify idea is pushing people farther north each and every year, guys. Even our sports teams aren't immune to all this. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys used to mean one thing: Sundays at AT&T Stadium, tailgates so big they could be their own zip code, and a sea of silver and blue rolling down I-30, right? That was a Dallas ritual. But now the Star up in Frisco has practically become the Cowboys HQ for a lot of the locals, right? Training camps, fancy restaurants, team events. It's where people go to feel the Cowboys without battling stadium crowds or $75 parking. And folks actually really love it. And it's not just the Cowboys, right? Frisco's feeling sports loyalty left and right with the PGA moving up there, all the new stadiums, the minor league teams, you name it, guys. The northern burbs are becoming their own sports kingdom. Listen, the other day I bumped into a friend of mine from Oak Cliff and they said, look, Marquez, is weird, right? I never thought I'd be driving to Frisco to watch anything but youth soccer, but here we are. Now don't get it twisted. Dallas is still home base, but the center of gravity for sports is drifting north, right? No question.
So I'm super excited to announce we just released our Reload Ready bundle. This is a bundle that gives you our knowledge of the Metroplex, the best areas, best food spots, best schools, and overall what to expect. And lastly, we're going to give you access to our preferred property list. This is when builders have inventory that they need to move. They call and give us first dibs. These are going to be those discounted properties you won't find on Realtor or Zillow.com. So if you want exclusive access, click the link below, become a part of our inner circle where we say less and pay less. Now, back to the video you were watching.
And in line with the shifting perceptions, let's talk about something locals used to love to complain about and how that might finally be changing. And I'm talking about the DART, right? For years, the DART line was a punchline, right? Folks would say stuff like, why would I sit on a train when I can sit in traffic like a true Texan? The trains ran empty half the time and the schedule felt more like a suggestion than a plan. But now they're shifting a little bit, right? The new Silver Line is about to connect Plano all the way to the DFW airport, and I've actually had clients ask me whether they should live near a station to make life easier. And that never used to happen, right? Don't get me wrong, some locals are still side-eyeing the whole public transit idea, but DART's getting a second look from people tired of burning half their paycheck on gas and parking. Dallas is probably never ever gonna be New York or Chicago, but the conversation about public transit is definitely changing. And even the skyline is starting to tell a whole new story these days. Listen, for decades, the Dallas skyline was like our city's fingerprint, right? Everyone knew the green neon outline of the Bank of America Plaza, the Reunion Tower ball glowing like a disco, and a handful of towers you could draw from memory, right? But these days, Dallas is getting glassier, taller, and shinier by the month. New towers like the Terminal at Katy Trail, the Four Seasons, Turtle Creek, and skyscrapers popping up in the Cedars are making locals do double takes these days. Listen, a buddy of mine flew back into Dallas after a couple years away, looked out the window on the approach and said, yo, Quiz, am I landing in Dallas or Dubai right now? And honestly, I can kind of get it, but just without the sand and water. And I get it, it's been a wild progress, but sometimes folks just miss the simpler silhouette that screamed Dallas from miles away. And I mean, honestly, even how folks get their news here in Dallas has flipped completely. Listen, I remember when if something big happened in the city, you were waiting on WFAA, NBC5, or the Dallas Morning News to break the story. Those were the trusted sources, and if they said it, it felt official. Now, folks are getting their real scoop from neighborhood Facebook groups, Reddit threads, or even random Instagram reels. And one of the biggest ones that I've seen out here on Instagram is Dallas, Texas TV. If you want some insights on Dallas, Texas TV, I feel like they need to pay me for giving y'all this shout, but that's where you're gonna find everything you need to know about Dallas on Instagram. Listen, if somebody spots a fire truck on their street, 10 minutes later, it's online with a full play-by-play and at least 3 conspiracy theories. It's wild because on one hand, locals feel way more plugged in, but on the other hand, half the time you're reading rumors until the official outlets catch up. You know, one of my past home buyers literally found out about a huge zoning change near her neighborhood from a Facebook group before any news site picked it up. Listen, Dallas hasn't lost its newsrooms, but the streets are talking way faster these days. But that's gonna be the daytime vibes, guys. Nights in Dallas tell a different story as well. All right, so let's talk about Clyde Warren Park, because back when it opened, this place was Dallas's living room, right? Free yoga, food trucks lined up, kids running through fountains, and folks just chilling under the skyline, right? It felt laid back and local, a spot where you could show up in workout gear or a suit and nobody really cared. But fast forward to now, and Clyde Warren's glowing up big time, right? There's a brand new pavilion, sleek restaurants popping up around the edges, and curated events that feel a little more upscale. Now, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, right? We go out there all the time, the kids, we have a great time, we go and eat, but some locals really miss when it was just a simple green space with cheap eats. You know, one of my clients from East Dallas told me, man, I used to bring my lunch and hang out. Now I feel like I gotta order a $15 cocktail just to sit down. And I get it, right? Progress is great, but Clyde Warren's definitely traded some of its chill for a little more sparkle. And I feel like a little of this stuff is also happening in this other area we're about to talk about next. So the West End, right? This place used to be a major scene, guys. You hit the West End for dinner, shopping, or just take folks visiting from out of town over there. It was brick warehouses turned into restaurants, neon lights, horse-drawn carriages click-clacking through the streets, and that classic touristy buzz, right? But these days, the West End is it's just not what it used to be, guys. Foot traffic has definitely slowed down, and a lot of the old staples here have either closed up shop or faded into the background. Meanwhile, places like Victory Park or AT&T Discovery District and even Deep Ellum's newer developments are stealing all that spotlight. Dallas has been shifting its energy to newer mixed-use districts with restaurants, big screens, and the live music that keep folks hanging out longer. Listen, the West End used to be the place for a Saturday night. Now it's like, oh yeah, it's over there close to, yeah. Right? Dallas is all about reinvention, guys, and the West End is just one example of that. But let's keep it moving right along because the way people use spaces around here is shifting in a big way as well. All right, now, one of the coolest and honestly kind of wild trends in Dallas right now is all these pop-up and hybrid spaces, right? Back in the day, spots stuck to their lane, right? Coffee shops were coffee shops, salons were salons, and breweries were just breweries. Simple, right? Now, Dallas is full of places wearing multiple hats, right? Coffee shops that double as record stores, breweries popping up in old garages that transform into art galleries on the weekends, barbershops where you can get a haircut, also listen to a live DJ set. It's like everything's trying to create an experience. And honestly, some of it is pretty genius when you really think about it, right? A neighbor of mine recently told me he discovered a pop-up vintage shop inside his favorite ramen restaurant. And this is the type of stuff that's only happening in Dallas, man. The city's creativity is on full display and people love discovering these hidden gems all over town. And this next area is doing just that, turning itself into a creative powerhouse. All right, so the Grapevine used to be all about the quaint Main Street vibes and the Texas wine tastings, right? Cute shops, vintage trains, and that classic small town feel. But lately, Grapevine is kind of popping, right? Meow Wolf just landed there bringing wild, immersive art experiences that feel like you're stepping into a sci-fi movie. Locals who grew up thinking Grapevine was just a sleepy wine town are blown away by how fast it's becoming a legit cultural destination, right? People walk out of Meow Wolf looking pretty much dazed, like they're not sure if they're still in Texas or another universe. But look, there was a time when Dallas was all about steaks, Tex-Mex, and barbecue, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm still here for a good brisket plate myself. But now Dallas has gone global in such a big way, right? You got places like Jubilee finally landing in Plano. You got hot spots in Richardson packed every single night. And on McCoskey counters where folks are dropping serious cash for sushi that's practically art. Even the food halls are getting in on all the action, like Legacy Hall in Plano, serving up everything from Korean fried chicken to Lebanese shawarma under one roof, guys. It's like the whole world decided to move into our kitchens and locals are actually loving this one. Listen, the city's not just meat and potatoes anymore. It's becoming a true foodie playground. But food's really not the only thing that's expanding, guys. Let's talk about how Dallas's creative scene is actually leveling up big time. So look, there was a time when arts and culture in Dallas felt kind of niche, right? You had to know the right galleries, the right pockets of town. Even then, events were small and under the radar. Now, Dallas is putting art front and center. We've got Dallas Art Month drawing citywide crowds, micro-grant programs helping local artists make big statements, and AAPI heritage events shining a spotlight on new voices. There's murals going up everywhere, pop-up art shows, and cultural festivals that feel bigger and more inclusive every single year. It's not just the arts district anymore, it's neighborhoods all over the city getting in on the creative energy. Look, one thing that's for sure, Dallas has leveled up from quiet art openings to full-blown cultural celebrations. And here's the thing, I love this city, changes and all, but I know it can feel like a wild ride trying to keep up with everything that's going on new, especially if you're thinking about moving here or trying to figure out where you're gonna fit in. So if you're thinking about making a move, guys, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is down in the description below and pinned to the top of the chat.